We know in the Quran, with every chapter of the Quran, with the exception of one, the chapter begins with the phrase, "In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful." So if God is so gracious, so merciful, so kind, why did He create hell? Why didn't He allow everybody to go to paradise?
Well, first of all, it is interesting to note that this question is mostly directed to Muslims, and those who ask these questions don't ask themselves, doesn't the Bible also speak about punishment and reward? Is there any mention of something hell, some concept of hell also in the Bible? I do not pretend here to answer on behalf of the other two sister religions closest to Islam, Judaism and Christianity. Again, I don't encroach on their belief or what they want to say about that. But speaking as a Muslim in that perspective, that this is a common issue, how do we understand the mercy and justice of God? Both are qualities of God. God is just and merciful. But these are not necessarily contradictory type of qualities or attributes of God. In fact, I can return the question by saying, why, if we have a merciful system of government, we claim in the West, for example, to have a merciful system of government that respects human dignity and human rights and all of these, why is it that we have criminal punishments? Why is it that we have laws that says you can't do this, and if you do it, you get punished for it? Is that contrary to being a compassionate government or a compassionate democratic system? It is not. Actually, you can say that it is part of compassion if you extend the meaning, is to protect the rights of other people, to have mercy on the victims by punishing those who encroach on the rights of others. There is no contradiction between both. But the unique thing in my perspective, my humble perspective, is that in some theologies prior to Islam, the notion of God's justice and God's love or mercy are seen as two difficult attributes of God that are constantly in tension. And that's why some theology may arise as to how can that be resolved, and the question of mediation between God and the humans and all the rest. I think this is well known for those who are familiar with this type of theology. From my humble understanding of the Quran, there is no inherent tension between God's justice and God's mercy. For one, when we speak about God's justice, we don't have to understand it fully again in our human terms. Again, tit for tat. If it's tit for tat, nobody's going to make it. Nobody. Even prophets cannot make it if perfection is a requirement. But there have to be an element of justice also. You can't equate evildoers with those who do good. It is not part of mercy to give a message to people that whether you kill or save life, God is merciful. It's okay, it's okay. I remember one time having a dialogue with a very honorable Christian person, and somebody directed the question. I said, I'd like to ask both Muslim and Christian speaker to tell us about hell and punishment. His answer was quite interesting. He said, well, from my perspective as a Christian based on the Bible, I know that there's hell. There is hell in afterlife. But then he added, in a light manner, he said, but I'm not sure if there will be any dwellers there. Then they asked me to comment. I said, well, let us look at that scenario in paradise. If everybody goes to paradise, unqualifiedly, immediately, no problem, regardless of what they did. And one day, in the freshness of the early morning, Adolf Hitler or some other people or similar person who committed massacres of innocent people passes by Mother Teresa, and we know the righteousness of that too. And he says, Mother Teresa, good morning. After all, it didn't make any difference, did it? People started laughing, but they got the point. Is it really part of the mercy of God that, you get the message that it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, whatever evil or good you do, everybody is to be equated because God is merciful. That doesn't make any sense to me. However, when I said earlier that there is no inherent theological tension between God's mercy and justice, I say that also with a qualifier that is mentioned in the Quran and Hadith as well. That while God is just and merciful, His mercy is far in abundance than His punishment. One verse in the Quran says, what is God going to do by punishing you? In other words, what benefit will God derive by punishing you if you only believe in Him and show grace and thankfulness to Him? So God is not interested, like I say, in roasting people in the hellfire. There's nothing. It is us who bring that upon ourselves. And unless we know that there are positive and negative consequences of our choice, we will not do the right choice. We need, as human beings, to be motivated, and God knows best our nature. We are motivated by fear of punishment. That's part of it. As human beings, who says that if you go through the red light, or what restrain you from going through the red light? If there is no policeman who will give you a ticket and you pay a fine, you might not pay as much attention. Some would, but many people will not. So this is something inherent in the creation of God. But like I say, mercy is more abundant. All we need to do is to really have faith in God correctly. We need also to behave correctly and as righteously as we can. Allah will treat us with great generosity once we have shown this, at least, attitude.
Okay, thank you.